So I'm going to call the board meeting to order. In attendance, we have Alan, Renee, Milton, Dick, Shari, Nancy, Lynn, Janet, Ginny, and Andy.
Is Rafi on the phone?
Rafia, are you there?
I think she hung up a while ago.
Well, she's calling from Saudi Arabia, so
Oh my God.
it was
What
intermittent.
time is it in Saudi Arabia?
Just remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast.
Nancy, you hear that? It's being recorded in the broadcast.
Yes, right.
And I do have a request, please. Please do not put your cell phones on the table.
Oh.
It turns out that when even in vibrate mode, it gets picked up by our wonderful microphone.
Oops.
All right, okay. Closed special meetings. Well, we have a number of them because we went back through and discovered we had missed a few. So, there's a closed meeting of the CA Board of Directors, November 11th, 2018. In attendance were everyone except Rafia. The vote to close was 9-0-0. It was closed under Section 1 and Section 4, discussion of matters pertaining to employees and personnel, consultation with staff personnel, consultants, attorneys, board members, and other persons connected with pending or potential litigation or other legal matters. Meeting was closed at 7:05, opened at 9:29, and the purpose was discussion with legal counsel concerning a personnel issue. There was a closed meeting of the Architectural Resource Committee on Monday, November 11th. In attendance were Deb Bach, Ed Gordon, Ann McKissick, and Carl McKinney. The meeting to close, the vote to close was 4-0-0. It was a close under Section 4, consultation with staff personnel, consultants, attorneys, or other persons in connection with pending or potential litigation. The meeting was closed at 1:05 and opened at 2:40, and the purpose was discussion of new and ongoing covenant cases. There was a closed meeting of the Audit Committee on July 23rd, 2019. In attendance were Jim Young, Tim Redmond, Renee, and Dick. The vote to close was 4-0-0. The reason to close was 1 and 4, discussion of matters pertaining to employees and personnel, and consultation with staff personnel, consultants, attorneys, board members, or other persons in connection with pending or potential litigation or other legal matters.
I don't think you need to read the whole thing. When we read it
Well, no,
once.
technically I do.
He's got to read it into the
Yeah,
minutes.
unfortunately, I do have to read it. Meeting was closed at 7:55 p.m. and opened at 9:17 p.m. Purpose of the meeting was review of internal control matters with external and internal auditors. There was an Architectural Resource Committee closed meeting on Monday, July 8th. Present was Deb Bach, Carl McKinney, and Gordon McPhee. The vote to close was 3-0-0. Closed under Section 4, consultation with staff personnel, consultants, attorneys, or other persons in connection with pending or potential litigation. It was closed at 1:08 p.m. and opened at 2:25 p.m. And the reason to close was discussion of new and ongoing covenant cases. There was a closed meeting of the Risk Management Committee on June 27th, 2019. Committee members, Milton, Susan, Nancy, Richard Shaw, Lynn, Sherry, Sherry Fanaroff, sorry. The vote to close was 5-0-0. It was closed under Section 4, consultation with staff personnel, consultants, attorneys, board members, and other persons in connection with pending and potential litigation or other legal matters. Meeting was closed at 6:07 p.m., opened at 6:48 p.m. Purpose was to discuss the general liability self-insurance program and specific instances and claims. There's a closed meeting of the Board of Directors on June 25th, 2019. All board members were present. The vote to close was 7-3-0. In favor was Lynn, Janet, Nancy, Rafia, Ginny, Shari, Andy. Against, Dick, Alan, Renee. It was closed under Section 3 and Section 8. Section 3, consultation with legal counsel and legal matters. And Section 8, discussion of individual owner assessment accounts. Meeting was closed at 7:10 p.m., opened at 9:05 p.m. And the purpose is discussion related legal matters and specific accounts, residential, commercial, tied to the annual charge. And lastly, there was a closed meeting of the Board of Directors on April 25th, 2019. In attendance were Dick, Renee, Lynn, Alan, Milton, Nancy, Greg, Andy, Ginny, and Shari. The vote closed was 9-0-0. It was closed under Section 1, discussion of matters pertaining to employees and personnel. Meeting was closed at 10:43 p.m., opened at 11:55 p.m. Purpose was to discuss a personnel issue. That's it. And we are all caught up now. Approve of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
No.
No, wait a minute. Okay.
I have discussion.
Yeah, but let's get the,
First, you have to second the motion.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Second.
okay, Ginny moved and Janet seconded.
Thank God.
All right, any discussion? Janet?
Yes, I move that we include a vote on our vehicular events policy in Meriwether Park.
Okay. Shari seconded that amendment. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, we'll add that. Anything else? I'm going to then move, we approve the amended agenda.
Did we want to add a
Well,
vote for?
did we?
I don't know, neighborhood centers, did we need anything for that, or are we good with where we are?
Well, I would certainly appreciate us deciding as a group what this meeting, who is invited to this non-specific villages discussion in January. So I'll move that we add that to our agenda.
But what are you voting on?
Yeah, what do we,
Decide who to invite to.
okay,
this.
so Alan's moving that we vote on who to invite to the January 16th meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Nancy?
Nancy? Any discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can't decide.
Yeah, I know.
Put it on the agenda.
Well, so that we could have discussion. You can't discuss unless it's
Right. 1,
seconded.
2, 3, 4. Okay, so in a favor is Alan, Renee, Dick, Shari, Lynn, Janet, Ginny. Opposed, abstain. I'll abstain and Nancy abstains. All right.
You've been voted.
Whatever.
Okay, now, anything else? If not, I'm going to call with the vote on the amended agenda. All those in favor? Unanimous. Conflicts of interest, none. Consent agenda, all approved. Okay, we're going on. The first one is reallocation of funds for Chrysalis Pathway. Milton, anything you want to add?
No, Dennis?
Dennis? All right, so there's basically the request to remove the remaining $70,000 in planning funds to construction funds for the Chrysalis Pathway. Yes, Alan?
We had already approved this funding for the pathway as it was designed,
Right.
and I'm not clear why we need, well, if there was no change in the design, I don't think we would need to re-vote, because my thought was we weren't just voting on one set of funds, we were voting on the money for the pathways. If there has been a change, this memo doesn't talk about a change, doesn't lay out the change, doesn't let us know what the change is, what its implications are. So that doesn't help me.
If I may be allowed to answer the question posed. This is not about a change or rather a substantial change in design. The 2 grants that were issued by the CA board to the trust, one was for design, the second one was for construction. And while the grant agreements have been signed and the monies are actually currently sitting in the trust's business savings account, there were efficiencies on the design portion of the project. And because the design portion came in under budget, there is some excess money left over And what the trust and with working with CA Open Space staff would like to do is take the money that CA has already provided that wasn't spent in design because of efficiencies and move it to construction.
So basically, the pathways cost a little bit more money.
The-
Susan.
The reason it's before you for approval is because what you approved was design, and so this is the change. That you did approve a grant for construction, but when it's not going to be used for the purpose you approved, we would bring it back to you for
Okay,
approval.
but my understanding is there's also been a change in the design. So since there's no change in the design mentioned here, I don't know how we can approve this without knowing what that change is.
So there has been a slight modification in the design, and we had two options for the board members to walk Symphony Woods. We don't think it's substantive enough that we have to revise the red line. We have made some changes, though. We've moved from some boardwalk to pervious paving. It still goes from Little Patuxent Parkway to the Chrysalis. We actually were able to reduce the number of trees that would be impacted by the substantially, but we've reduced it by reorienting the pathway a little bit. So there is a change, and you're right, this doesn't address that change. But my thinking was that the opportunity for the board to go out and take a look at it and see that it was substantially the same would be sufficient.
Except that some of us work and have other conflicts that we can't just go out and walk the pathway. So it's, we were very clear, I felt, that we were approving a particular design and that any changes to that design had to come back to the board for approval of that change in design.
Dick.
Yeah, I looked at it, and actually, what they did is they simplified the design somewhat. It's really minor, but it is an improved design, and we, I would not say so if I didn't, because you know how persnickety I am about these things. But no, I think it's an improvement. It's minor enough that I don't think we need to overthink this. My question is, with the $70,000, I'm just curious, were we talking about benches and things, or what are the improvements that you're looking at?
Primarily drainage. Primarily drainage.
Use the microphone, please.
I apologize. Primarily, those improvements are drainage related. There are some substantial drainage issues on the site. While the team has worked to reduce construction costs overall, allowing us to use that entire pre-allocated money would allow construction of appropriate drainage within both the CA-funded pathway and potentially that drainage could also be used across the entirety of that system, which would deal with some of the low-lying muddy spots.
Can we get rid of that puddle?
I would like to get rid of the puddle.
That's commendable.
All right, what I do is, let's go through it first. Is there a motion to approve the reallocation of the funds as staff has
So
submitted?
moved.
Wait, moved. Dick had his hand up. Dick is moving. Is there a second? Nancy seconded. All right, now, let's go. Alan.
What's our,
No, sorry, Ginny.
Susan, what's our usual procedure in this kind of case? If we've allocated money in a grant, but this isn't really a grant, so it's, anyway, it's interesting. I know if it's money that we've allocated for our own construction projects, we don't just let Dennis, okay, I'm gonna spend that money elsewhere that I feel like it. It stays in a pool, and then you come to us often and say, we've got this money left over from this project, this money left over from that project, we'd like to use it for this purpose. This is a little different because it's money that was transferred to another organization. Has this come up before in our history? Do we have a precedent for
Not
this?
that I'm aware of.
Okay. So from I guess what I'm not clear is, why, since the money is in their bank account, why do we have any say in this at all if we've already given them the money?
Because the grant, they still have to perform according to the grant terms, and the grant says design.
Okay. And what would be the consequence if we didn't approve this?
think the funds would be returned to CA.
Okay, thank you.
Ginny?
Yeah, I think what I hear Alan saying, it may be we should have shown up on the screens the design map that we had when we approved it a year ago, and then the little changes so that anybody that wasn't able to go out there could see exactly where it was going and why it's a better path, et cetera. Maybe, is that what you're saying? It would have been nice if it had been presented that way tonight?
Is what I was saying first. In this
Yeah.
case, what I'm saying is,
Well, the other thing as well, okay.
is that
Okay, it's just a suggestion, okay.
if the money,
I've
maybe we should
I've
follow
seen
our
the
usual
design,
procedure and have
so
it come
I'm
back to
fine.
CA and we can use it for
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
deem it to be useful
Yeah,
for.
okay, I've seen the map, so I'm okay, but I think that's what.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the reallocation of the funds? Renee, Dick, Shari, Nancy, Lynn, Janet, Ginny, Andy, opposed? Alan? Motion passes. Okay, so next, thank you, Dennis, thank you, Nina. Next up, vehicular policy. So we made a few changes, if you remember. So let me go back so everybody has it. So we dropped the word in the first paragraph, Meriwether Park and Symphony Woods, so not just says Symphony Woods. On the last paragraph on the first page, which starts with given the foregoing, we dropped that first sentence. And then at the end of that paragraph, before the final sentence, which starts with this strategic initiative, we added the sentence, therefore CA will not permit any drive-through events. Do I have it all?
That sounds right.
All right, just so we know. All right, Lynn, is there a
Can I also
motion?
add that
Well,
the official name would be Lot 23, you know, if we want to give it a legal name. So we have Symphony Woods Lot 23, Meriwether Park at Symphony Woods Lot 23.
Dick?
I don't think that's necessary. It just confuses things. Symphony Woods is Symphony Woods.
Okay, so let's go back. Is there a motion to adopt this policy? Okay, Nancy and then Dick seconded. All right, now let's get into discussion. Okay, so Dick is asking about possibly putting in the word lot 23 was the rest of the
No,
board.
no,
Oh,
I
no.
know.
Lynn was
sorry.
asking,
Lynn was
Dick
asking,
was saying
sorry.
didn't think it was
No,
necessary.
You know, that is the legal.
I would feel
Definition.
better having the official definition as opposed to something that could be loosely interpreted as something else potentially. That's my only concern.
There's no harm in adding it. It's only
Or we could put it in
clarifies.
parentheses.
Right.
I mean, I have no problem calling it Symphony Woods, but I'm just concerned that that may not include everything we want it to include, or
Right.
Are all
Lot
51
20.
acres considered lot 29?
23.
23.
Whatever.
I don't think so.
Do you want to put it in after where it says approximately 51 acres, parentheses, lot 23?
Known as lot 23 or something like that.
Well,
Let's
Without having a map in front of us,
Right.
I don't think we.
let's be a little careful. The 51 acres does not, the 51 acres exceeds lot 23. And the reason for that is, remember, we are gaining parcels of land from the Meriwether development. Lot 23 is basically the donut that surrounds Meriwether Post Pavilion.
Right.
But that 51 acres includes other lots which have just recently, with the development of Symphony Woods, been added or will be added
are
depending
they
on
considered
things.
Symphony Woods?
They are part of Symphony Woods, but they are not lot 23. They have a different lot designator. So that's, I just want to make sure you don't think,
So let's leave it out. If
Then
they-
let's leave it out,
So
yeah.
it's more than 50. Lot 23.
It's more than lot 23.
Okay, then we should leave it out.
It was Area 51, that'd be different.
No, we were not doing Area 51, sorry.
Now, that was funny. We could just
That's
add
the next
again
motion.
the exhibit of the easement area to the policy. So that we could just add the exhibit of the whole easement area to the policy, and that would clarify it. Yeah,
That's a good
All
idea.
right. All right, any more discussion? So I will point out that, as we've had with the discussion, if an easement is eventually decided that this policy doesn't cover, we understand that.
The last
Right,
paragraph
the last
states that.
paragraph says, is in accordance with terms of easements. All right, so, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? It's like unanimous. Okay.
Andy, I
Yes.
would like to move that we provide a copy of the newly passed policy to DPZ, indicating our opposition to any temporary use permit based on the policy.
Help me understand, Janet, how those two are, I mean, not that I disagree with you, but I'm not clear how those two are the same thing.
So if somebody wanted to use the land and applied for a temporary use permit, we would have to approve it. So
But that's not what we just decided. I mean, I'm not in favor of
saying we
it.
would have to either not approve it or approve it.
Right.
We can't, I'm just trying to be crystal clear, based on the policy that we just passed, what the position of CA should be.
Around single uses that have to do with driving on.
Correct.
Not just any single use permit.
Sorry, yes,
Okay, that was
gotcha.
what I.
Yep.
And would they look it up? If Joe Schmo comes in and says, here's a request for use of this property for whatever, would DPZ then look up whatever policy might be there?
No, but
Or
we
is
would
it
be
their
asked to sign it.
responsibility? We would have
We
to
would be
sign it.
asked to sign.
Okay.
Wait a minute, if we sign it, we know what our policy is.
But they would be able to apprise Joe Schmo of what the
Okay.
situation is.
So Renee has it.
So, right, that's what I'm trying to clarify. So we're not asking the county to enforce our policy.
Correct.
We're just asking them
Just
to
making them
forward,
aware of what our policy is.
Right.
and hopefully they'll forward that to the applicant.
I wouldn't even assume that. I'm simply laying out what I feel like we should make sure CA's response is if, in fact, we are contacted for a temporary use policy or permit for a drive-through event.
It's recorded
Okay,
somewhere.
all right, thank you.
So,
For the purpose of the minutes, Janet, to whom did you want to give a copy of this?
To DPZ.
All right, let's see.
Is that a
Janet.
decision or just a wish?
The county executive.
a
I'm
decision.
asking us to vote on it.
So you're moving.
I moved, I'm waiting for a second.
Second.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was going to ask. Who's seconding? All right, just a second. Janet and Alan. So the motion is to send the policy to DPZ. Okay, any further discussion?
I
Yeah.
just have a question.
Sure.
If and I'm fully supportive of this, but if there is an easement that already allows this, does this new policy, because I didn't think the easement could be broken.
No.
The last paragraph of the policy states, if this is not in accordance with an easement, then the easement is what?
Rules.
Yes, the easement rules.
Again, this is a land use policy.
But-
Just the use of the land, what do we want, how do we want the land used? It's a statement of use. But at the same time, there's an easement on that property, which we've already agreed to
Right, but
allow.
they're two
But that's a
different
separate
things
issue,
here.
that's a
They're two
totally
different
separate
things.
issue. Okay, all
One
right,
is land use, one is easement.
okay.
Remember, what the policy said that we adopted was this policy is not intended to oppose the use of vehicles on roadways within CA's property in accordance with terms of the easements. So if it is determined that the term of the easement allows vehicle or use, then this policy doesn't apply because it specifically says the easements rule. Okay, Let me call on sending the policy to ZBZ. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, let's go on to neighborhood centers. Okay, so we will be holding a meeting January 16th, and the question is who to invite. So,
Well,
all right.
I'll make a
Sure.
motion just to get something going
Yes,
here.
got it.
I think we should be inviting the village board members and the village manager to meet with us to discuss this. And it would be an open meeting, open to the public.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Shari seconds it. Any discussion by village board members and managers? Alan?
Yeah, I guess, I think that those of us who have wanted this to be open, a more open discussion to all residents, have heard the concerns around, like, the length, if this was done in a traditional resident speak out mode, that wouldn't be workable. So we've heard and addressed those concerns. What I haven't heard in return is a reasoning other than it would take too long if we did this as resident speak out. I haven't heard a reason why not do this meeting in such a way that we could have more participation, if desired, from more Columbia residents, and I would appreciate hearing that.
Shari?
All right, so how do you define participation? What actions are you talking about?
I would see, as you described, a small group, tables with people sitting around, preferably mixed with a board member here and a village board member there and so on. And the relevant principles that we were thinking about boiled down to something reasonable that they could look at, table discussions.
So heterogeneous groups for the discussion of the principles, of the draft principles, with a recorder and a reporter for each table.
Report out from each table. Yeah,
Okay.
That'd be, for me, a
All right.
logical
I don't know
design.
that we necessarily have to put that in there, but if it makes you feel comfortable, I agree with that. I think that's a good way of proceeding so that we get interaction. And so the whole point of having the board members there is that they get to participate and they get to say and engage with our board.
But my question is, why not also invite anybody from Columbia who'd like to attend, to participate in that same process?
So,
I think that's what we're doing.
No, the vote was only to invite the boards and the village managers and allow there to be an audience of people in the public. That's what you seconded.
I didn't hear that. It just said and open to the public. So anyone who wants to participate,
Okay.
participate.
My understanding of the motion was it was the invited people got to speak and the rest of the public would simply be able to listen. So,
I didn't hear that. Can you clarify that?
No, actually, what I had in mind was the village board members, because that's a lot of people, and the village managers, and that's a manageable group. I guess I'm torn here in that we have had many opportunities at Resident Speak Out, and people have been, that care about the issue and want to tell us what they think, have been expressing their concerns or sending letters. So I don't know who else would want to come to this meeting, so I guess you could open it up to everybody, because who else is going to come? The stakeholders are really the people that are currently utilizing the neighborhood centers. So if you talk about stakeholders, it's them.
So can we invite them as well?
Well, that would limit it as opposed to just, how many people can you handle? Do we want to take a chance on a couple of hundred people being there, and is it manageable? Or do we want to actually decide, who's going to participate for this round?
I've run meetings of 1,000 people. We can do it.
oh,
And so
okay,
would we-
wait, let's,
Well,
ask them to
wait.
register?
before we
I
get,
thought what Janet had in mind, had suggested too, is that we do a survey in advance of everybody, and we get those results back, that would really inform us to a certain extent about how to conduct the meeting, but,
Okay, I just want to jump in here and get a chance to. I actually like the idea of focusing on the village boards and the village managers, because this is, we talked about this by using this as an opportunity to improve relations between the CA board and the village board. So this is like an opportunity, if we kind of focus. If instead we say, it's open to everybody in Columbia, you can all come.
Right. It's too diluted.
Yeah, so that not that I'm opposed to it, but I just think that in this particular case, it would help us if we focused on the village boards and village managers. You know, we can get community input in lots of ways, but this is just like another step. But that's just my thought.
this
Dick?
is their meeting. really with us.
It seems to me that the village boards would represent the community. And we have heard from the community. We have had meeting after meeting where we've had excellent testimony from the community. And I think we've heard all that. And I think in our deliberations, we are certainly going to take that into consideration. But if we really want to get things done, I think we need to make a slightly tighter group, because I don't want to listen to 3 hours of people coming back and telling us what they've already told us.
All right, Renee had her hand. No. All right, any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion is to invite the village board members and managers, but it will be an open meeting in the sense the public can come and.
Well, could I ask a clarifying question? Because if it is a meeting, then
Well-
doesn't the public get to do resident speak out if we have an open meeting?
I use the term loosely.
But it's still an
It's a
open
session,
meeting.
right. It'll be a session that'll be announced, but it'll just be an open,
Yeah, you could do it.
people can come, but no, it's not gonna be an official CA board. I mean, because I'll tell you one, if it's an official CA board meeting, then we're gonna be structured like this.
Well, we don't have to be structured like this, but we do have to have resident
How
speak
would you
out.
structure it
I-
like this with
Well,
60?
what
Right,
we
I
can
know.
do is
Or
when we've
50
finished with
Let's just,
the discussion,
let's just,
at the meeting, we'll have residents speak out to make any comments on whatever conclusions we came to at the session.
all right, let me call the,
Can I just make sure I understand? So we're going to revise the policy that was put out,
policy?
well, whatever,
Well,
the draft.
Yeah, and I'll bring it back to the board, based on your
Okay.
comments.
Then
and
we're
stuff.
going to present it to the villages and the managers and to the public?
Sure. Also, for all of this has been public.
Right,
It's
I'm
all
saying
out.
the new,
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
the new
it'll
newly
go in the
revised.
packet on our
It'll go in the
website if people
packet.
know to look there.
Right.
okay, so, okay, I'll just vote.
And what I'm also encouraging and hoping that each board member will take it back to their village board to make sure that they're aware of it. It will, it'll be out in public, but just want to make sure. All right, all those in favor of the motion? Dick, Shari, Nancy, Lynn, Janet, I don't know. Oh, sure.
I'm on the
Okay,
fence. I don't
Ginny, Alan, Andy, opposed, Alan, Renee, abstain, Janet. Okay, give me a minute while I can get this. Okay, let's see. So that was 6. Okay, that is all we have. We'll move on to chairman's remarks.
Hold on a
I'm
minute.
sorry,
Andy?
I'm sorry.
did we get, sorry.
There's a piece that Janet included, which was to have a survey. I think that needs to be included.
Okay,
Well,
so remember, what we said was that in December, we were going to finalize the structure, right, of the meeting. So why don't we take that up then? I mean, because my first question is going to be what kind of survey you want? Okay, so let's say, yeah, we have an idea, we're going to do a survey, but my question is, what are What are they?
And who do we survey? How many what
Yes,
questions?
so I think I need more
what
information.
timeframe,
How do we do the survey?
how
What
do we compile
questions?
the results? Yeah.
And
So
I
it's
think we need
only
to
as
think
good
about
as
We'll
the
be thinking
question.
about that now.
All right, so why don't we
Survey
take that up then, but let's set aside some time to work that through so that we, even if it's a 10-question survey that's
Right.
done with a doodle,
Right.
or whatever the thing is, it can be a
Monkey.
Survey Monkey, that's what I was
Monkey.
thinking. I mean, it can be very simple, but it will go out to, I thought that was a very good idea, to use the mechanism that we have to be pushed out into the community. And
What
then people have an opportunity to
What
give
mechanism
feedback.
do we have to do that?
Hmm?
What mechanism do we have to do that?
We have surveys in place for all of the gyms, for instance. If you
Yeah.
check in, they randomly generate
So you
surveys
just
all
send
the
them
time.
this survey.
So,
So that would go to people who
But
have
you have to
memberships
be a
and who
member,
use them.
right?
okay,
Well,
so,
they're residents, I mean,
well,
we could also do it to the stakeholders that are currently using the.
okay,
All right,
wait,
do you want to
wait.
leave that to the next discussion? That's what I hear you saying.
Well, because what I want is I'm going to turn to staff and say, the board is interested in doing a survey.
What are our
Get out
options?
of
Right, what are our options, how to
Okay.
do it? Because frankly, we're sitting here like, well, let's use this, let's
Well,
just use that. let's-
before
let's-
you say what are our options, but you have to first identify who do you want to survey?
Right.
Right,
I think the
Many
community,
people as
we're talking
possible.
about
there you
the,
go, you go.
the largest possible segment of the community. That's what we're looking for, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously you can't do the entire community, but that's your long goal. Yeah, I mean, maybe put it on the webpage and say, click here or something. So I don't,
That's
Well,
only people who look
basically,
at the webpage.
once you define it, because we can come up, you give us the parameters so we can get the information. There are times when we just buy information that if we don't have it, we can look at the survey. As Alan said, we do community-wide surveys, but we do surveys of our membership. Membership is not the entire community.
That's right.
Well, is the largest possible segment not sufficient for you?
The largest possible.
Possible segment of the Columbia population? Is that,
Well, basically, I would have to talk to communications,
Right.
what is that segment, and how would you get that
that's
information?
what we're asking for, I think, is to ask you to do that.
so what I'm also thinking is, we want it web-based, right? That's what we're looking for, so
Well,
something,
yes,
something that's
We want you
web-based.
to go door to door, Andy.
Canvassing.
We were giving
Co-op to
Milton
co-op.
parameters, we want it web-based. We want to try to reach, the community in whatever sense it is.
And you're gonna have a very limited time frame,
Right.
so.
Yes.
it's
Very
gotta-
Yes,
tight
gotta go.
timeframe.
Very, yeah.
And it's got to be
Could
pretty
we
simple.
potentially use the villages? I mean, maybe I'm sure they all have different vehicles, but maybe they at least have email lists or some
Right.
newsletters.
Right, all the villages have a way of communicating with their residents.
But not all of them. They really don't. I mean, like, at least I know our village, we don't have everybody's email address. We just have the
Right,
ones
they don't
who've
have
chosen to give them
But
to
you
us.
do have a newsletter you put
Right,
out,
it goes to
which
so.
you could say,
We
Yeah.
did that, we sent it out before our Tuesday board meeting that we were gonna be discussing this. One person came, she really wanted to talk about the Haven, what's the story in neighborhood centers about, 4 or 5 different issues. That was it, and that went
And
to
that might be
1,200
what we will
people.
find, that most people really are not interested in.
Well, 1,200
But
people got it, so.
I would like to know, though, because I won't be here in December, so you can vote on everything, because I won't be here.
The elevator.
Work sessions.
Pick all of
We're
the
gonna
elevators.
rescind the vote on the
That
elevator.
elevator better be in the budget.
yeah, Ginny's going to move to take it out.
Yes, she probably will.
We're kidding, guys, kidding.
Yes, Nancy.
But we also have to think very practically, or let staff figure out very practically, how we're gonna do this with 50 or so people.
Yes.
And whether we're going to have, hopefully, a board member, a CA board member at each table. I would suggest it would be tables of 8 or 7 or 8, so it's not too big a group. And that there's a CA board member at every table and so on, so that we can do this,
Right, there's got to be a lot of planning done.
right. And we also have to find a location with a big enough room. Right.
Okay, anything else on this? If not, Chairman's report. Okay, so
We read it.
It's all in writing, but what I wanted to add was, I really want to thank CA staff for all the work they did on the Veterans Day Parade and ceremony. It was really nice. They had a much larger parade this year, and more people, which was good. And the ceremony was quite nice, and they arranged good weather, too.
But no tanks, we didn't have any tanks.
Can't beat that, right?
But yeah, thank you very much. So thanks staff for that.
Yeah.
Okay, report from the CA.
Andy,
Yes.
is there a president's report this time around? I didn't see one.
It's December.
No, next December. December. Remember, we skipped this month, and it comes out in December.
Could I ask a question of our president in lieu of a report?
Sure.
Have we signed the Guilford Industrial Amendment?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It was emailed yesterday.
I haven't, I have not seen it, but I would not sign it until I sit down with our general counsel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Inter Arbor Trust, they submitted a report in writing. Any questions? No? Okay, we're on to tracking forms. Board request tracking form. Any questions? Resident tracking? Okay, possible new topics? Okay, talking points.
The board approved the
We need
allocation
the
of
mic.
The board approved the reallocation of funds from design to construction for the Chrysalis Pathway. The board approved the amended policy regarding vehicular traffic in Symphony Woods. The board approved
Inviting.
Sorry about that. The board voted to provide a copy of the revised policy for vehicular traffic in Symphony Woods to the Department of Planning and Zoning. The board voted to invite the village board members and village managers to an open session on January 16th, 2020 regarding general principles regarding neighborhood centers.
Sounds good. Okay. So, hearing no objection, we're adjourned, and we're about 1 minute early.